Hi, everyone. Welcome to Meetup with MeLa. I am here today with another very special guest that I'd like to feature in the month of March for Women's History Month. I am with the wonderful Anna Medeiros, which actually is a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other for many, many years, and
We won't say
I'm
the
so
number.
happy. Yes, definitely. I'm so happy to have Anna on here today, the Meetup with MeLa show. And basically, Anna is going to feature her business, and she is a photographer. So excited to have her and feature some of her work today. And her name is Anna, and the name of her business is Anna K Photography. One thing that I want to let everyone know on the bottom of our screen is always all of the social media contacts and handles that I have, which is Meetup with MeLa on Facebook and Instagram. And this episode and many others can be found on the Meetup with MeLa YouTube channel. And Anna, her information, her website is www.annakphoto.com, Facebook at Photos by Anna K, and her Instagram is Anna K Photo. So definitely find her there. I'm sure that we'll be talking about a lot today, and I'm sure you're gonna love her pictures as much as I do. They're absolutely beautiful, and you're so talented, Anna. So with that being said, welcome to Meet Up with MeLa, and thanks so much for coming on here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I was super excited. As soon as you asked me, I was like, oh, cool. It's so exciting, not only for me, but like I'm so happy to be a part of like your this new venture for you. So
Oh
thanks.
no, thank you so much. Thank you. And it's always nice to this has been like we've been talking, and it's been such a nice way and opportunity to connect with people in a way that, first off, I love to hear about your work and what you're doing and what's going on in your life. And especially in a way that it's like, it sort of gives us like a context to connect around rather than, I guess, me just going on Facebook and being like, hey, what are you doing? So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, why? Why are you asking?
Yeah, yeah.
But this is great, and like, again, I've always appreciated your work on whenever you put anything on Facebook. One thing you have to know about Anna: she is a mom, and she has the most beautiful boys, and a lot of their pictures I know feature your boys, and I always love that. In terms of you say sometimes like you're maybe playing around with a new concept or taking some pictures, and having your boys is definitely, it's been nice to be able to see them grow, and they're beautiful, and your pictures are beautiful. So it's been amazing to be able to see your work. But I'm so excited to learn more about it. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit like about Anna K Photography and how this came to be, and how many years have you been doing this? And yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
So Anna K Photography, it's actually I started it's actually hasn't been that long, really. I think I
Okay.
started kind of 4 years ago. But then
Okay.
I
That's
really like
great.
started to get serious about it 3 years ago, where I
Okay.
started my own studio, and it was an in-home, not in my home. It was my dad's home, and he lived alone. He had a big house to himself, and I kind of just took over. So it was a great
He's
place
like,
for me
who
to.
are these people coming to the door, Anna?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he would be like walking by in his robe, and I'm like, go, like, go
Like,
away. I'm like, I have
he's like, this
clients
is
coming.
my house. He's like,
Yeah,
this is my house. Like, who are these people? That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So it did. I mean, it started in an in-home studio, in my dad's house, and it was a great place to start. I was able to grow kind of at my own pace, which was perfect. And how it just kind of happened, honestly. I wrote a blog, which I'm a terrible blogger. I really should do more of it, but one of the first blogs I ever wrote was kind of why I started Anna Key Photography. To begin
Okay.
with, and so what happened was I had my first son, right? So he's 8 now, and I was finding that pictures were really expensive. And I'm like, oh, like
Yes.
I'm like, photography is so expensive. And I did what a lot of people do, was where they think like, I'll just buy this, expensive camera, and I'll just take my own photos and save, spare myself from the
Yes.
investment. So I bought this camera, which I thought was like this big grand thing. And, come to find out, it was really like an entry level camera. But anyway, so I
Yeah.
get this camera and I start taking pictures, and I'm just like, oh, they don't look as good. Then like to me, it was like baffling. I'm like, I don't understand why, like, I have this great camera. Why don't they look good? Not even considering the fact that there's a lot of technical and there's a lot of artistic and creative processing that happens in there. Um,
Yes.
anyway, so I buy this camera. It doesn't do what I think it should be doing, and I stuff it away in a closet, and I leave it there for years. years. So 4 years about to be exact. And then I get a puppy. I get this Great Dane who you've probably seen on
Okay.
my Facebook. And I get a Great Dane and he kind of sparks this thing. We're like, all right, let me take out my nice camera. And I started taking pictures and it turned into this thing where I wanted to start exploring different parks, different things with him. Um,
Okay.
and he's a spectacle in himself because he's like a giant thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it started with that. So originally I wanted to be a pet photographer,
Oh,
and that
okay.
was what I was going to do. And so people were like, my mom in particular, she's like, well, why aren't you taking pictures of your children? Because I had
You're like,
like,
no, it's just me and him that are taking pictures together, like
yeah,
me and the Great Dane. Yeah, which I have
yeah,
to say, pet photography, I can imagine cannot be easy either in terms of, I mean,
no,
maybe for your own pet, but especially other people's. Like I'll tell you right now, I have two rescue cats, and like, good luck getting some pictures of them if they don't want the pictures at that specific time. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's a whole different skill set in itself. But my mom was
yes,
wondering why I wasn't taking pictures of my actual, like, you know,
family,
yeah, my children. And
yeah,
I was just like, well, and I kind of laugh about it because I'm like, well, they don't really like sit and stay on command. They don't listen as well. So,
yeah, mm,
fast forward to a year after that or so, I ended up just taking my kids out. It was they're returning their birthdays, which are close together. I took them out and I posted the pictures on Facebook, just like most people do.
yeah.
And it kind of started on its own, where they're like, "Oh, these are really cute pictures. Can you take my son's photo, my daughter's picture?" And then that's when kind of like the ball started rolling.
Yeah.
And then social media does what it does, and like Anna K Photography was born, and I opened that small studio in Barrington. So that's
Oh,
how it
that's
started.
awesome. And
So I
so
could have
where
been
are
a
you
pet
located?
photographer.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it probably though makes it like, can people still bring their pets to you if they want photography, or would you be like, no, I'm all set with that?
So I just did a live. I do. I encourage pets. I just did a live video today saying that I wanted to do a pet event here. But just because of just allergies and all that type of stuff, it would have to be like a dedicated day for it. But
Yes.
I would love to do that. So to answer your question, yes, I'm all about it, and yes, they can come.
Okay.
We just have to figure it out like per client.
I know, and how we were talking a little bit earlier, obviously before this recording, I've known of you always having pets. So I know that like you're probably, like you're probably okay with it, and I'm sure you're great with animals, and which is definitely a huge perk. And but yeah, because I mean, a lot of times too, like I know, like with our animals, our fur babies, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, they're family, so they're
Yeah,
definitely family. So a lot of times, it is nice to have like a picture with them in it, even
yeah,
if it is with your family or if it's just them. It's nice to have a picture as well. So,
yep,
yeah, I'm always taking pictures of like my cats and everything, and I think like they're the cutest most
yeah.
of the
They're part of
time.
your family.
Yeah, exactly. They're family members. So why would we not have pictures of them? So that's definitely exciting. And so where exactly, so I know now you said you're in a studio, Anna. Can you tell us
Yeah.
again, where exactly is your studio located?
So okay, so I'm kind of in between two studios right now.
Okay.
But I'm leaving my Cranston studio, which was on Atwood Ave.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, it was on Atwood Ave, but I moved here I'm in this, it's kind of a shell of a studio in Barrington
Okay.
now. So I'm in like I believe it's Hampton Meadows area and like Soames area of Barrington.
Okay, great. Okay, well,
Yeah,
congratulations on the move. I'm sure that's an
thank
exciting
you.
and a big task, but I'm sure an exciting task at that. So, basically, what made it like? Why did you become? I know, like, why you started it, but like, what makes you passionate about what you do?
Well, so I love okay. So for me, I love the creative process. It like, I don't know, I just do. I'm not really sure. Um, from the pictures that I take now, and I find it just crazy that only 4 years ago I didn't realize that I was a photographer. And then I kind of look
Yes,
back at cell phone pictures that I've taken, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I can kind of see like, I had already like a little seed of it. I just didn't realize it. And so,
yes.
yeah, so I mean, I think I've always loved the creative process, but even now, like with a lot of powerful tools,
Hmm.
just with gear and equipment and Photoshop, like just the creative process is just, it's huge, and it's like the sky is the limit. But outside of that, like one of the most rewarding things that I find, even for myself personally, is taking photos for other people. Like I'm like physically handing them just memories that I know are like,
Oh,
well, printed,
definitely,
that they're going to
definitely.
have forever and that they're going to pass on. And for all the generations. And I know that like most photographers do say that, so maybe it might sound a little bit cheesy, but that's like a real thing. When I go to other people's homes and I see like old photos, like I'm moved, and I don't even know those people, but I think it's like, wow, like that's just like, it's a little time capsule that you literally have brought with you and will continue to bring with you for years. So to me, that's so cool. I love that.
Definitely. And I mean, there is something so neat about capturing photos. And I think sometimes too, like sometimes we don't see certain things happening right in front of our eyes. So like sometimes like I remember like you'll see a picture, say even school pictures, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my gosh, like my kid is so grown." And like you're not even
Yeah.
realizing until you see sometimes this picture in front of
Yeah.
you like and then to even have the comparison from even the year before, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like drastic. So I think
Right.
it's like it really opens up our eyes, and I guess again, it's like a snapshot of just like capturing what's going on at that time, and that's such a beautiful thing to be able to do, and especially some real special events that people are going through and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's definitely some really exciting stuff. So
I
um
um I recently did one of like three blogs in the last 4 years that I've ever done, which the more recent one that I was doing was just kind of about the importance of actual print photography and how like our emotional connection to a photo.
yes.
And it's like, that's no joke. And it's one of those things where you really don't, a photograph doesn't kind of reach its highest value, I guess, to you until like just until way later, right? So it's going to appreciate over time.
Yes.
Where I've had good friends that, they had photos from, I had a good friend of mine who her son passed away recently, and it was, she had come
Oh,
to
I'm
me.
so sorry.
Yeah, it was a really sad, unexpected thing, and she kind of like dug up some old photos of him and was just like, they had like watermarks on them that they never purchased, or they just didn't follow through with on, um, just the purchasing part of that process. And they were like, can you remove the watermark? And because this is what we have, like, this is what we have left. And I was just like so moved. I felt compelled. I had to do it. And there's a whole copyright type of situation that happens in there. So I reached out to the original photographer, and was able to remove it and restore the photos. But to me, it was
Wow.
like, yeah, I was able to restore them and clean up, take away all of the stuff that photographers put on their photos so that you can't steal them. And
Yes.
and so, I mean, but to me, I thought it was just the most precious thing. And
Yeah, I
now
mean,
the images are framed and they're there forever because that's what she has left of him. So it's so important. I don't think people really realize that until, it's just either too late, or years have gone and the
oh,
moment is past.
definitely. Definitely. I mean, I remember actually, it's so interesting that you're saying that because for my mom's 60th birthday a few years back, I had a photo booth. We had someone come in to do a photo booth, and unfortunately, they kept their equipment. It was in the winter, but they kept their equipment in like a storage facility that wasn't like climate controlled. So when it came to
Oh
doing this
no.
photo booth, they couldn't, everything was like frozen. They couldn't print out what they needed. And so they said, you know what? Let's do the photos. We'll save everything and then give you the photos later on. Needless to say, we didn't get all the photos, unfortunately. And from that time of when we have the 60th birthday, and then by the time I got the photos, my cousin had passed away. And she was in all
Yeah.
these photos, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we can't ever, first off, we can't recreate the amount of people that were there and just the energy and how fun it was. But then also to have lost a family member during that time that was featured in those photos that we don't have, it
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, like, are you sure you can't get this? Because it was like, it's not even just about the fact of like, again, it's not even at that point it wasn't even about the money or what happened. It was like you've got to
Yeah.
realize there was someone that was there that we lost, that we didn't anticipate losing. And it was just really sad because it was like just to even have that documented and the fun that we were having during that time, I mean, that was
Right.
priceless. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that you're saying that and sharing that story as well, because again, there's something about that and capturing that moment, and we were just laughing and had such a great time that day, that to think that we wouldn't have had her literally less than 6 months later, it was just
Right.
like, oh my God, it was horrible. But to know that, like, it was basically something that simple that happened. It was like, oh my gosh, we really don't have the amount of photos that we thought. And it was really sort of a devastating process because it was
Right.
about capturing that moment,
Yeah.
and the fun that everyone had and just the connections, and to be able to get people together like that. I mean, that doesn't happen every day. So it was
Right.
definitely sort of a sad thing. But no, I
Well, and
definitely appreciate what you're saying.
I think it's important too to like, we have two kind of unfortunate stories in
Yes.
terms of the importance of photography, but even for like, I'm sure you look back at pictures of your son and you're just like, where has the time gone? And it's something that can
Yes.
instantly bring you back to a time where it was like, well,
Yes.
22 years ago. And it's like it can, really
Yep.
they connect you to the past, not only like, for just parts of you that are missing from loved ones, but from some of like just like simpler times or like better times when I think kids
Yeah.
is like the most important thing. So doing child photography for me, especially with newborns, is just so huge. And it's so special to me when I have clients that come from newborns and I get to see their baby like 7 days old and I'm here and
Oh,
it's your
yes.
first child. And then, you come back a couple times for that milestone process, but then when you come back for the year, like the year birthday is such a big grand thing, and it's like it's really special. And I'm always flattered when I have clients that do that, because I know that I've just basically like, I've kind of cemented their journey for them, not like just
Exactly.
their past, so that they have it forever. So it's so cool
Yes.
for me. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think those milestones are huge. And, I do think what is unfortunate sometimes is like, even when I think about it, I mean, there is something about photography and getting photos that sometimes we take for granted, in terms of it really is a luxury, in the sense of like how many people, like I think about like when my son was in the hospital, when I had him, at the hospital, and when, he was a baby and an infant and a newborn, and they offer you those packages. And it was like,
Yeah.
fortunately, I was able to get one of those packages. But think about how much people can't afford those either. And like, so,
Right.
I mean, I do feel like things have become a little bit more available for people to capture those moments in a way that, again, like hopefully makes it a little bit more accessible to some people. But I mean, sometimes it's like, it can be really difficult too, in terms of some people, especially, like, knowing what we've been through in terms of the pandemic and everything. I'm sure that might have even
Right.
changed a little bit how you've even done photography, and obviously keeping safe distances. And I don't know, do you
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about that? Like, how have you made some changes, or what changes have had
Yeah.
to be made during the pandemic?
So I mean, as like a service, right? So I'm considered
Yes.
like a personal service. So I don't have a ton of foot traffic in here, and I did have to shut down for the 4 months that everybody pretty much did. But
Okay.
I was allowed to open back up and just kind of stay within those guidelines where, okay, I can see you as like a one off or a one-on-one, but
Yes.
everybody's masked and we do the whole thing. And I have a process in place where, I make sure that I have an assistant as well. I make sure that we're like in good health before we start anything. Outdoor sessions are not a problem, but indoor,
Yes.
we're like
That's really
cleaning
nice.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're cleaning everything and just making sure like all of my, I mean, realistically, working with like newborn props and things that other children touch, that stuff was getting cleaned all the time anyway. So it was just kind of
Yes.
like, I wasn't, it's not that big of a change, just but having to like wear a mask for a 3 hour newborn session while it's like 80 degrees in the studio. We need to
Yeah,
keep it
that's
warm
a
for the
that's a
babies.
difference.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
That's definitely a difference. But I mean, overall, just because I work with children, especially newborns, like everything's pretty much clean. Um, but I think that in terms of sentimental value for people, um, I actually feel like I've had a lot of clients that came and said, we had these huge milestones that happened during this time and we missed out on that time because we couldn't do anything. So I
Yes,
almost feel like people are
exactly.
more
Yeah.
ramped up. Yeah, people are kind of like more driven to start capturing photographs and memories and things like that because they just missed out on that time. So
Yes.
yeah, so I mean things are good. It has been a change, but I mean I can't say that I'm like, I don't know, like struggling with it. I think
Yeah,
everything's been
because
okay.
it
I've been
sounds like
lucky.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so are you also able to go to people's homes as well, Anna? Like, has that
Yeah.
been like, okay, so you do, so you can do like in your studio, you can do like more obviously on-site locations and like, I'm sure obviously like, do you do weddings as well or
So I
different
don't
things like
do weddings.
that? Okay.
I
You're like,
haven't,
do
I think
not
that,
ask me to come to your
do
wedding.
not, yeah, no, no,
Do
I don't
not
do
ask me to come to a
weddings.
wedding. Yeah, okay.
Listen, weddings are tough. I give wedding
Oh, it's a
photographers like
lot of work.
credit.
Yeah.
It's a
Yep.
lot of work. And I think,
And it's a
you know,
whole day event, morning, noon, and night. Like
yeah.
that's a long day.
Well, and that's only the shooting portion of it. The post processing after that is like, it's much more. I think a lot of like misconception, right, is like, clients will be like, "What? We have to pay you what for an hour?" And I'm like, "No, no, no. It's not just the hour. There's a whole process that happens after
Yes.
I click that shutter a couple times, and that's it." That's kind. I think that's what they think, but there's so much work, and I feel like weddings for me personally, it's a lot of high stress because that is like the most important, to that person on that day is like the most
Yes.
important day thus far.
Yes.
So there's a lot riding on that day. With me, if your baby's not cooperating, it's like, we'll do our best. And if not,
And
we'll
come
try
back
again.
tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
can reschedule. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, I give wedding photographers a ton of credit. So I don't shoot weddings.
Okay.
I do mainly child and family photography, and
Okay.
I'm really moving towards fine art. Fine art meaning they look more like pieces of art, whether they look like they're painted, like museum framed pieces.
Oh,
But
that's awesome.
I do still do fun seasonal or like themed things. Like I have astronaut sessions happening right now, and I did these kind of like Barbie inspired. I got to say Barbie inspired because I don't want Mattel to come after me. But
Yep.
but I did doll sessions were like so fun, and those are kind of like out of the box for me. I don't typically do stuff like that. So,
Oh,
but it was
that's
super
really
fun.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
And does that happen in the studio then? In terms of like
yeah,
your props are set up, everything is ready to go. Oh, that's
hmm,
amazing. That
yeah,
actually, you'll definitely have to post some of that on your page if you haven't already or on your website. I'd
yeah,
love to see that as well. And
yeah.
so, like as a business owner, I mean, obviously there it's not easy. What would you say have been like some of your biggest triumphs and setbacks since you've opened this business?
So triumphs. I'm here in my storefront studio, right? Where
Yep,
I have the ability to just renovate everything, and I've bought all new furniture. So this was kind of like a goal for me.
that's
So to
awesome.
have
Congratulations.
Thank you. To have achieved it in 3 years' time is kind of like I'm kind of shocked myself, but so I,
I'm
I mean
not.
I would consider that. Oh, thank you. I would
Yeah.
consider that a triumph only because it seemed like from where I started, I felt like I was never going to get there, and it's just, I mean, I snapped a finger and here we are. That's one of the biggest, I think, to kind of set that goal and to have gotten here. And I mean, I have other goals, so I'm
Yes.
going to keep going. But to kind of hit this first one is just like I'm happy with things the way things are going. Um, I mean, in terms of setbacks, there's like, I mean, even though it's only been 3 years, there's a lot of like work that happened behind the scenes, and there's a lot of like self-doubt that happens. And I mean, even for me personally, it's just like in photography, everything's like it's oversaturated, right? You could find a photographer on every turn. um but in terms of just believing that I could separate myself from the pack, right, and just um
Yes.
offer something that I think not everybody is doing, just in a way that's quality. And um it took a lot because I almost felt like they have this thing where like photographers, they kind of say it's like, oh, I feel like a fraud because like
Like the imposter syndrome. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
and I do, and I mean I still kind of struggle with that sometimes, but I think that's just part of the creative process. So it
Hmm.
drives me to be better. So in terms of setbacks, I mean, I don't think I've had many obstacles outside of just my self-doubt. and
Hmm.
like and like I mean, and I didn't need anybody to really buy into me. Like I was kind of on my
Hmm.
own path, so
Yeah.
it didn't bother me if there was like just non-believers, because I knew. Um
Hmm.
but I think for myself, I was probably my own biggest obstacle there.
Exactly. And I think a lot of times too, it's like, especially when it's something that it's your baby, like you're hoping like, is it as good as what I think it is? And I'm sure it's like that kind of struggle. Like, and when people are telling you that, it's like, well, I hope they're telling me because they really believe that versus feeling like they're saying something to be nice about it. Like,
Right,
wow, these are amazing. But it's like, they are really amazing. But like, and then to obviously, I think sometimes too, when it's something like that, it's like, again, it's sort of an extension of yourself and you're putting yourself out there and there's a lot of
right,
vulnerability and you're hoping that people are really thinking that you do and believing that you have a product that, they're feeling like,
right,
oh my gosh, this is so much more than what I even expected coming into the
right,
door in terms of, seeking out your services. And
right.
we'll definitely feature some of your pictures so people can see as well because you just have some beautiful, beautiful work. And
Thank you.
I was like blown away. I'm like, I've been blown away by everything you've been doing throughout your career and that you've posted on Facebook. And I just think it's really inspirational. And I just love like the creative edge. Like, I think, again, a lot of times it's like, it's about what we can take, like, based on what are we passionate about and how can we repackage that into what we do. So a lot of times
Right.
I think that really shines through. And to see like the photography and like the way that we're seeing it from your perspective and your angle, it's just such a beautiful process because it's definitely not something that I could go out with my iPhone and capture. So it's just beautiful. It's definitely art. And again, what you're giving back is amazing as well. So one thing I wanted to ask you too, and just thinking about this, I know there's all different trends a lot of times in terms of what people are looking for. Like one thing I've been seeing a lot lately is like, obviously the pregnancy photos have become like a big thing in terms of people
Yeah.
taking like pregnancy photos. And then I've seen some with people being pregnant and they're doing like the milk baths. Have you
Oh
seen that?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
milk baths and that kind of thing. But I always wonder, like, so as these certain trends and stuff take over, I mean, years back, it's obviously with, moms, doing like, like doing the different months, that they like their
Yeah.
babies and just different things and stuff like that. How much do you sort of like, accommodate for the different trends that you see? Even like the different like photo shoots in terms of like, single people, like women especially doing like what do they call it? The I can't even think of the name of it. The boudoir, like photo shoots.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? Like those kind of
Yeah.
like photo shoots. So, like, how much of that, like, do you sort of accommodate in terms of like if you see like a specific trend, or are you able to do that, or how does that actually work?
So I mean, I I don't want to speak for all photographers, but for me, right? So if I see, I mean, if
Yes.
I like it, if I like it and I'm into it, like I'll do it, even if it's outside of like my brand per se.
Okay.
I would do it just like the doll session photos or like they were like, it was literally a 5 foot box, like a Barbie box that like
Okay.
the girl actually stands in it. And, the idea behind it was, she's Barbie or she's a
Okay.
doll. And, that to me is something that's kind of trendy, and that's definitely a themed session so that and I kind of knew
Yes.
going into it that that's not something you hang over the mantle, right? That's not something that you blow up and you frame
Yep.
and you hang over the mantle. So I do them and they're fun, and if it appeals to me, I'll do it. But for the most part, I mean, I do like to stick to just classic, timeless stuff that will
Okay.
be around forever, because my end game and my goal is because I want to be able to provide you with art, right? My clients with
Okay.
art that they have, that's in their home and that will look fine and okay
Yes.
forever. And
Forever.
but
Yes.
yeah, and
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the trends. Like I've done a couple of like, um, they have like fruit baths. I never did a maternity milk bath. There's a lot
Yep.
involved in that, and that's like
Well, that's
to
what
have
I
a
was saying. The other day I saw
yeah,
someone do that and I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, like how much milk do you need for that? It was like
yeah. Well,
fruits and
and
this and
it's not even milk. There's like, how like they do photography, like in product photography. Have you ever
yeah,
heard that
like
they do
it's
like mashed
like instead of
potatoes?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like ice cream instead. It's like you're finding out they're
Yeah.
using like shaving cream or something or Cool Whip and
Right.
this and that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, so that's not all, it's not milk, because like imagine like that would be like rotting like right away. So it's actually not. It's like, they use like different things that, make it look milky.
Yeah.
And they were doing like, it was a big trend that just happened was like, I don't know if you saw them, it's like hot cocoa, right? It's like a hot cocoa cup with marshmallows with like a little kid sitting inside. Did you see that?
I
Um,
think I did actually. I think I
yeah,
may have seen that. Okay.
yeah. I didn't. It was cute. I didn't jump on it. I didn't. I don't know. To me, I had a beautiful Christmas set, so maybe that's why I didn't. But that
Yep.
was like huge, and I felt like everybody was doing it. But it was pretty cute, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, you have these children, like, and you got to change out the water all the time. But I'm like, you have these children kind of like in this like brown water. I was like, I don't know.
Oh
Like,
wow.
yeah, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not really into it. So,
Yeah, no,
so
I know.
I passed that one by.
And it's awesome too because it sounds like you're able to really balance like the analytical strategic side of things and the
Yeah,
creative side of things. So it's like also trying to weigh the options, like is this something that I feel like okay, this is tasteful and something that is
yeah,
lasting, or are you going to hurry up and run out and buy things that it's like quite
right.
frankly this is like, you have to think about what goes into that as well. So I think
Yeah,
that that's
so true.
definitely, yeah, that definitely, I definitely can see where that can be like, wait a minute, I'm going to hold off on that. And also, like you said, like also having your own personality and brand in terms of what is your goal and what you want to like turn, out and stuff like that. So, I mean, I know that you mentioned in terms of like obviously more of your things are like family based and that. But do you do like personal or sessions, like especially for like say professional headshots or I don't know, like for like adults or just different clientele as far as that goes.
Yeah, so Anna K photography is primarily children and family, but I
Yes.
happen to do so. I happen to be a photographer that I work with a great friend of mine. Her name's Deanna DiMarzio. She does
Okay.
real estate photography, and she asked me if I would like, if I would just like help her out and if I wanted to come on board because she does amazing work and she's been very busy. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I actually started doing real estate photography with her. And I never, it's not my business, so I never marketed it. But
Yes.
with that, I have a lot of connections with a lot of real estate agencies, and like it kind of started this like sub
Oh, that's
division
really
of Anna
cool.
K
Yeah.
photography. Yeah, so I do a lot of professional headshots and personal branding for small business owners, and for just like a lot of like realtors. I've gone into doctors offices, and doctors offices where they want to get their whole staff headshots, whether it
Exactly.
be for
Yeah.
websites. So I do that. It's not I don't have it anywhere online or on my website or anything, but I did when I got to the new studio. I had a vinyl created, and I put like in tiny letters underneath, I put professional headshot and personal branding. So it's like kind of official. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm not hiding it. It's just not something that I like advertise, but I take it all the time. So yeah. And
Okay.
you gotta come see me. We'll do yours.
Exactly. I have to get like, well, first off, I have to come as like Melissa Lauren Hooks, but I also need to come as MeLa too. So I've got a couple different
Yeah.
personalities I could bring with me, and very different photo shoots as well. But it would definitely be great. I certainly could use some professional some photos done and headshots and that. So it's about time to certainly get those and stuff. So yes, definitely, we'd have a ball anyway. So I'm really excited about
Yeah.
that. So can I ask you, I know that you mentioned in terms of like your Great Dane, but like what other like who or what has really inspired you to do what you're doing in terms of, deciding, hey, listen, I want to do this, I want to be my own business owner and obviously do things the way you want to do. And who's been like major supports to you during this time as well?
So I had so my husband, it's funny. So we kind of chatted about this before we started, but I think just photography in general, and because the way that I had started out, just doing it in somebody's home, I don't think people necessarily took me seriously or thought that it was going to be a thing. So I kind of felt at the time that I decided to do this, I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. I was supposed to be
Okay.
doing that, but it just kind of happened, like I had said. So I felt like I just had to contribute. My husband was working to the bone, and I felt that I just needed to help out. We had two small children, so when the seed kind of like started sprouting, I guess, I don't know, I just felt driven to contribute to my household. And then
Yes.
as things kind of progressed, my children were like, oh, what are you doing? And even now, like, I don't think they really know what I do.
They're like,
But they,
she's with that camera a lot. That's all we know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they, like, well, the
Too
first time that
cute.
they came to the studio before, they were like, "Whoa, you work here?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, so they like, I kind of feel like it was a little bit of my failure to not have them a little bit more involved, but
They're
they,
like, wow, we didn't know you would, that's where you were going. You really do have a job, mom. Yeah. It's like, yes,
yeah,
I do. My hands are completely full. Yes.
yeah. I think at one time they might have asked him, like, one of my older boys at school, like, what they did, and he was just like, "Oh, she takes pictures," which, I mean, I guess he's not wrong, but
Yes.
so, but anyway, but like my children kind of helped fuel the my kind of like my ambition, only because I felt like, I don't know, like I felt like I wanted them to see me be able to build something, and I kind of wanted in my head, I'm like, oh, let me build this great business so that they can like come along for the ride. But who
Yes.
knows if they'll even be interested in it. And in terms of inspiration, like I just mentored with an amazing photographer who's like amazing. Her name's
Oh, that's
Cassandra
awesome.
Jones. Yeah, and so it's Noelle Mirabella photography. So if you ever have to take a look at her, like the work will blow your mind. So she's like the best. So anyway, I took a workshop with her, and I was doing a mentorship program. And my oldest son was like, I was shocked that he wanted to come with me, and I really needed to start practicing. I said, "Do you want to come with me?" He's like, "Yeah." And he took to it like immediately. And he was like, "Are we going to go out? Are we going to go out?" So he was like, I felt like it kind of connected us closer.
That's really cool. That's
It was
really
so
cool.
cool. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so cool. And he would say some really kind of like stuff, like shocking things to me. We'd be driving home, and he's like, "Mom, anytime you want to go," he's like, "I'll go with you." He's like, "I like exploring with you." So that was like, to me, I was like, all right, I got to keep
Oh,
going for this kid. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like, yes,
That's
very
awesome.
inspirational
That
to
is
me.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is really awesome. And especially because it's like at the same time, it's something that he's really sort of encouraging you and seeing. Like, I think it's so important too that our kids sometimes see the process that we go through rather
Yeah.
than always seeing the end product. And I think a lot of times with us, for our parents, with us, like, I think my parents, I always felt like I saw the end product. I never really saw them like, go to school or this or that or
Right.
like build something. And not to say that they didn't, but I don't think I was as privy to that process. Whereas,
Right.
like, my son has seen me probably like, he's probably like, what is she doing now? Like, this woman reinvents herself every 2 seconds. Like, but in the
Yeah.
sense that he's seen me, like, in terms of like going to school and, have different jobs. But again, I'm not really sure of how open I've been with that process. But I do think it's such a beautiful thing that you're saying because I think sometimes we sort of take for granted how inspirational or how encouraging our kids can be. In
Right.
terms of like even
Yeah.
and sometimes even give us a level of confidence that you wouldn't necessarily think, but they're sometimes like they're really watching and they're really rooting for you. So that's such
Right.
an amazing thing.
Well, tell me that when we took a photo, I had posted the picture that I took of him. That was where I felt my work like had shifted. So I was like, this is it. And I remember like showing him, and we like when we were doing the pictures together and just trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, like I can't get it, I can't get it. And then when I like he was just kind of like encouraging me as I was going. And then when I would get it, he would like celebrate with me, and we're like, we did it, we did it. So it was like that meant something to me. And I'll never forget that.
Oh my
The one
gosh,
of the
he
Yeah, one
sounds
of the
like such a
pictures
sweet
that we
kid.
took, yeah, he's great, and like he really was supportive. So it was just great. It was a mom like win for me. But one of the pictures that he and I took together during that process, it won an award. So it was like, so it won an award, and I showed
Oh
him, and he
my
was like, wow. Yeah, it was awesome,
Oh,
super cool.
congratulations. And that's probably like amazing too, that like just so happened it's that picture, but also
Yeah,
it probably just was like it's awesome that he felt like he could contribute to that, in a
yeah,
way that again, we don't always see kids as contributors. And it's really nice to see that they're actually, that he probably felt very purposeful in that time, which is really nice to see. And I think again, like a lot of times it's the messaging that we're giving our kids. So when they see that we sometimes like there's a struggle there, but you keep pushing through. That
right,
builds such a resilience. And even as adults, we don't have all the answers, but it's about trying to keep moving forward in a way that it's like, that hopefully that's the lessons that we're teaching them. Not that everything's going to
right,
be easy, not that you're going to be able to snap your fingers and things are going to be what you think they should be, but there's this process. And that's
right.
awesome that you've been able to do that with him, Anna.
Well,
That's
you know
like
what's funny? So it won an award, but it got a bronze, right?
Yeah. Well, still,
and
that's
get some.
amazing.
Yeah, listen, it was steep competition. I got a bronze, and so I show it to him. I'm like, look, it won an award. And I like showed him, and he's like a bronze, and he's like, oh, so you didn't win? He's like, you didn't win? I'm like, we got third place. He's like, and
He's
he's
like,
like, oh,
honestly, we're going back.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I'm like, we'll get him on the next one. And so, and he was all about it. But yeah, he was like not impressed with my bronze, even though he was happy for me. He's just like, really?
He's like, okay, bronze. He's like, all right, well, so it means you came in maybe third then, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Oh, so
He's like,
cute. That is,
you were almost not on the podium. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah,
So
he's like, okay. He's like, well, you're gonna want to keep working on that. But anyway, yeah,
yeah.
too cute. He sounds like he's such a cutie. Um, so basically, I mean, I know, like, I mean, you're definitely a powerhouse in what you're doing in terms of, I give you so much credit in terms of being a mom and obviously being a wife of a firefighter, which I mean, I have to say, once again, definitely kudos to you and your husband for especially your husband being a first responder in these times is not an easy task by any means. And then also managing your households and in terms of your boys and obviously being a business owner, you're definitely like kudos to you for sure. But what characteristics do you feel like you personally are bringing, to your business that really separate you out from the rest in terms of like making your work what it is?
Well, so we talked about, or I mentioned earlier that photographers are like everywhere, right? And I'm not knocking it because I was part of that whole like momtographer thing, and it's still a
Yes.
thing where it's like, oh, I'm a mom, and like, yeah, momtographer. That is like a thing that people talk about, and it's and there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. But there's a lot of them. So, for me, it's where I started, and it's just like what I guess what makes it unique is that I like continued to really understand my business, and I feel like I've separated myself to some degree, just because I've you like spent countless hours just getting educated and taking mentorships, workshops, and like right now I'm in my process of actually getting my certification, like becoming a certified professional photographer.
Wow.
Yeah, with
Congratulations. That's really exciting.
it's exciting. So I want to be able to wear that badge. And not that there's anything wrong with just kind of being a self-taught momtographer. It's totally fine. I just, for me, I felt like I really wanted to take my business to the next level. So I like I said, I've invested my time and my money and like everything that I could, my blood, sweat, and tears into learning the business and making it sustainable. So I
Okay.
mean, am I there yet? I don't know. But some of the mentorships that I've taken are more fine art driven. So it's really not just about taking a photo. It's really about capturing emotion and being able to evoke emotion on the other side when you view those images.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like I strive to provide like museum quality, like heirloom products to you. Like, and I know I'm not trying to sound salesy or anything, but that's literally what I want. Like, if you can't take my image and like at
Hmm.
least one of them from the session and print it, put it on your wall and just be in love with it, look at it every day, like I don't know if I've done a service to you. So a lot of my clients, I do everything in person now because I want to make sure that if you're going to invest in me, that I'm like that we're a good fit and that I'm giving you what you want. I'm
Yes.
not a photographer that doles out digital files. I don't even sell digital files outright,
Okay.
because I believe in the value of a physical print, and I believe in the art,
Okay.
and having that pass to generation. So I mean, to me, in a sea of there's a lot of photographers that kind of do that. I guess that makes me, I wouldn't say I'm unique, but I'm just in a different group, which may not be the majority.
Yeah, no,
So,
definitely. And I mean, your passion really comes through, and I think it's very inspirational, and I think it's contagious too. I think it's like it's great to feel that because you are so passionate about what your product is and what you want to provide to someone. And I think that's so exciting to see. And definitely, it's something that just comes to me like it's coming through very clearly to me, and it's really exciting to see.
oh, thank you. I'm
So
glad. Sometimes I
yeah,
like try not to preach or like get on a soapbox, but
yeah,
I
no,
really
no, but
believe
I
in
mean
it. So I'm glad.
I think again, we also have to be sometimes our best advocates and our best cheerleaders. And I think again, like you know what your intention is, and you want that to come through, and you're passionate about that. And I think that's really exciting. And so, before we see some of your beautiful pictures, one thing I want to ask you, and especially again, you and I have known each other for many years. That started in junior high, and we were fortunate enough to go to Bayview and being an all girls school, and obviously having that passion for, even though we're both moms of boys, we certainly have that passion for, supporting women, empowering other women, and also obviously empowering and raising strong girls to become women. So, what would you say for any other, potential business owners, people that might want to, women, especially and girls that might want to get into the field of photography or even just opening their own business? Like, what words of wisdom do you have, or, suggestions or anything that you'd like to say?
I oh, I could say a lot. I talk a lot anyway, but in terms of this, with advice is, I think, just speaking from my own experience, right? I think at first, when I first decided to do this, and I'm so glad that I did,
Hmm.
I was really focused on like what people thought of me, or like I thought like what would these people say who I felt were going to like judge me or not believe in me. And of course, like the reactions that you get from people when you tell them you're going to start out, from the people that you kind of already know are going to not give you, they're not going to be that happy for you. I kind of expected it, right? So I don't know why I spent so much time even thinking about it. So I
Yes.
think if I had to give, couple pieces of it, couple pieces of advice, it would be don't even worry about it. Like if you want to do it, you believe in yourself, power through. Who cares what other
No.
people say? And I would absolutely say, like, if just, you kind of gotta like just go forward. Even if you're scared, even if you're, then self-doubt is a killer. I think self-doubt is probably the number one worst thing.
That's true.
Um,
Yep.
more so than any other, like, and we're women, right? So we want to empower women. I believe in community over competition, like 100%
Yes.
hands down.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
like, the people that aren't about that life, who cares? There's plenty of other people that are going to help you, that help build you up. So surround yourself by people that will challenge you, and don't be afraid to. I think one of the biggest things I felt like when I was kind of breaking into the industry is all the people
Hmm.
who I deemed as like better than me, or I felt inferior. And it's like, no, no, use that to fuel you to keep going and to get there and like never really stop. So
Yes.
even now I'm really in a happy place with where my business is, and I'm hoping for continued success. Um, but I'm always learning. Like I plan to get my
Hmm.
professional photographer certification, and I plan to continue to go to master photography. Um, I think just like, yeah, don't stop, believe in yourself. Who cares what other people say? I guess those would be my little
Yeah,
two
no,
cents.
definitely. I think those are like amazing, amazing things to say. And again, because I think, again, like you said, self-doubt. I mean, that basically, if you never get started and you have that doubt, it's like you'll never see what you're capable of. So again, it's about real, like, at least try it. At least try it. And you know what? At least you can say, hey, you know what? It wasn't for me versus I wish that's one of my biggest regrets. I never actually even started something, or I never did
Right,
something. And I think
right,
so much too, like you're saying too, with like community. Again, no, everybody's had a process. So no, where we see someone and they like seem amazing at what they did, they were at your point at one point, or
right.
even maybe they were much worse, or like you just don't know. So like I think again, it's about like pulling people up and celebrating the wins, and just having
Yeah,
some belief, in yourself. And I think a big thing too for us too as women is, and people in general, is just stay away from the toxicity. Like once you realize someone is
totally.
not a cheerleader for you,
Yep,
someone does not have good intentions for you, or basically just as like whether they're jealous, whether they're like, whatever the situation is, like really surround yourself with a close camp of people that that they have your best interests at heart, and whatever it is, they're beside you. So I think that's huge too. Like just try to get rid of the toxicity because it
Yeah,
never, nothing
totally.
good ever comes from that, other than like, this
Right.
is not what I want to be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and like getting out of your comfort zone,
excuse me.
like I say that to my children all the time, like you need to surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you, and it's okay. It's okay. Like
Yes,
it's fine to do that. It's great for growth. Just keep know your worth and keep going. And like
exactly.
from a business standpoint, this is kind of like to the side, right? From a business standpoint, for anybody who's trying to start a new business or like a small business, photography in particular, like no, don't just go out there and take pictures. You really want to value yourself, right?
Excuse me.
And market yourself for I get not I don't want to say for profit, but just don't work for free. I know like this is
No, yeah,
yeah,
that's a
like
good point.
there's so many photographers. When I say that there's like a sea and everybody like every which way, like I've seen ads for on Facebook for photographers that are charging like next to nothing for all the digitals in the world. And I get that you try, everybody starts somewhere, you do want to get that business, but do it in a place where you can kind of like you have value, I guess, for yourself, and you're not devaluing the
Exactly.
market. So know
No,
what it means, learn the ins and outs and the rules of the business. Find out how much it costs you, so that you're not working for free and you're not taking just every little thing that comes to you. Like be profitable, do it the right way, and do it the best way that you can.
yeah, that's great. That is really great, Anna, because again, I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, and then they sort of doubt themselves, and then people will unfortunately take advantage of that. It's like, oh, okay, like
Right.
they'll just be like, excuse me, sorry, they'll take advantage of that, and we don't want to see that, obviously. And again,
Right.
it's about knowing your own value and obviously letting other people know, no, listen, I know what I'm doing, and I'm like really good at this, and I'm gonna,
Right.
like, and I'm gonna get better, but at the same time I feel like I have a really good product, and I'm gonna work to, make you happy with this. So definitely,
Yeah,
I'm so
for sure.
excited for you, and I want to feature some of your pictures. So the pictures that I show, if you can give us like a little bit of like a background, like if like this
Sure.
was like a 1 year picture, or whatever it was, if this was a birthday one. And by the way, I
Yeah.
mean, these are just like beautiful. I was telling Anna prior to this, I was like, oh my God, there's some pictures here that it's like makes me want like a little one. And I was like, no, they're too expensive, don't look at these. It's like, but such beautiful pictures. I'm going to start here. Ooh, there we go.
Thank you. So yeah, this was a recent session. So I wanted to give you some like fairly new studio work. This was a recent cake smash that I had,
Oh, okay.
which yeah, so she just, minutes after this, she was like her face was like smashed into a cake. But she was great. She did good. Her parents were doing their whole jig behind me and making her laugh and stuff. So we had a great time. Yep, that's what that is. That's a cake smash session.
Oh, that's really cute. I was going to ask you if you do the cake smash. I know that's obviously been a big thing too, over the years.
Yeah, so and both of the sets are custom made. So with cake smash sessions and this one as well was a recent one that I did. This was just the parents had come to me, we want this. So the first one was they want like Winter Wonderland. That was kind of like a theme they had going. So that
Okay.
set was custom to them as well as this one. This was a first year.
Oh
This
my
poor thing,
gosh.
yeah, it's so people like listen, cake smashes are a ton of work. And they're like I said, they're custom sets. They're custom sets. So all that stuff, like I made that TP in the back and I hung all those things. Like, yeah, that's all me. So
Whoa. Oh,
yeah.
I had no idea. So that's like an actual set that you're making
Yeah,
specific
some
to
of
this.
them
And then
are.
and then
Yeah.
to obviously match, like, so do the parents obviously bring like, say, the little like headband, I guess you'd say. Do
Yep.
they bring that, or is that your prop?
So it really depends. I have tons of props and
Okay.
like I even offer outfits for 1 year cake smashes. But if they have their own thing they want to use, that's fine too. This
Okay.
particular one, the mom, her mother had brought with her and the outfit. But everything else on the set was basically handmade by me. Although the flower thing in the back was a Hobby Lobby buy.
And
So
what about like even that like tapestry? It looks like there's like a tapestry in the back.
yeah, so that's actually a prop. So both of the things on the back, so those were Hobby Lobby buys
Okay.
that I had. So I mean I shop around for props, but I have like listen, if you know a child photographer, they have like tons and tons of stuff, and I have no
Wow.
exception. So we gotta make stuff. There are time like the picture before, I was like literally cutting
Oh, go.
Yeah, see all the snowflakes in the back? I was like literally pulling those out of my Cricut maker. And like
Oh
the
my Lord.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
no,
like 2 a.m. Yeah. There's
oh wow. That's so yeah, I mean this is at a whole other level. I mean, this is
yeah.
absolutely beautiful. I mean, both of the pictures and the little girls in them are absolutely adorable. I mean,
Thanks.
and do you obviously like do you actually like provide the cakes too or like refer people or do you get the cakes from somewhere or how does that work or do they bring them with them?
Well, so I used to provide the cakes, but then I got nervous, like with, allergies and stuff. So I got nervous, so I stopped doing it. But I think, with the right precautions, I'll probably start doing it again, starting in the new studio.
Okay.
I'm actually looking for a local baker here to partner with, in
Okay.
Barrington. So if anybody knows anybody, shoot them my way. But yeah, so I think I'm going to start doing it because I think, picture day is stressful for moms. So, and dads, I'm sure. So
Yeah,
with,
and yeah.
having to get the cake and do that whole thing. If I can make it easier for you, I'm gonna do
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my
it.
gosh, that is like beautiful. This I
Yeah.
was like, oh my
Oh, this
gosh,
is
like
baby fever central.
yes, I was like, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. They're such beautiful, beautiful babies. I love this.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, they're just like twins. It's fairly simple. This is uh what we call beanbag, right? Or like a beanbag posing. So
Okay,
they it's really just meant to feature them on like just a cloth simple backdrop. And I do other prop like photos, part of um prop photos as part of the session. So like newborn
okay.
sessions take forever. We do a full family session with the baby. We do photos like this, not necessarily with two babies. And then we do prop photos where they're like in the buckets and the bowls and stuff.
Yeah,
So
and
there's a
hopefully
lot
you
that
don't need to bring
happens.
two babies to like to be
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
this because it's like that's a no-go. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like and the other thing is like, I mean, what do you do in terms of this? Like, is there some kind of like special secret or something? Like how long do the parents have to stick around to get the babies to sleep? I mean, newborns
So
usually do sleep a little bit more, but
yeah, so for first time parents and like just people that just don't know, like if you don't know, how would you know? But like how do you know what is involved in here? So newborn sessions, they're a lot of work. There's a lot of time involved in those only because even though that's why we photograph newborns within a certain number of days of life, only because the longer they're out of the womb, the more adjusted they are to not being out in regular daytime hours and adjusting their
yes.
nap schedules. So and they sleep the most during that time frame. So I prefer to take newborns within 7 to 10 days. I believe these twins were 7 days old.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I mean it's
They
going to
are
give us the
beautiful.
best chance. It's going to give us the best chance of having them be sleepy like this. So this is a lot of like it's a lot of coaxing and like a lot of just comforting and a lot of shushing and there's a lot involved. So like the studio is going to be 80 degrees so that they can be naked like that and feel comfortable, right? So I'm
Yeah, that's
sweating.
true because of their temperature and being able to keep
Yep,
a temperature. Yeah, maintain one.
yep,
And then what about even like I'm sure too, like in terms of like you're working around feedings or someone needs a diaper change or someone doesn't even have a diaper
yep.
on and now they just went to the bathroom and
Yep. Oh, it
yeah.
happens. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like the parents are like, "Oh my God, they're so embarrassed." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm like, if I didn't get like pooped on today, like, then it didn't really happen."
Yeah,
Because like
it's like this
newborn,
is like this is part of the process.
yeah, like newborns, yeah, they do. They get when they gotta go, they gotta go. So,
Yeah.
it is part of the process. So if you have a baby and you're gonna, bring them to a newborn session, don't worry about it. The photographer knows.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, they're
yeah,
not trained, so it's no one's taking any insult to it or like yeah, it's not
yeah,
yeah, it's part of the
yeah. So
process.
there is, and there's a whole workflow that's around newborns because everything is led by them. If they're not really feeling what I'm doing, then we don't do it. And if
Yep.
I kind of like set the studio up so that it's like optimal for them in the heating, and then with the heating of the studio, and then same thing. If they're hungry, then we feed. If
Yep.
if they're doing all right, then we keep trucking.
Okay.
So, and this is another one. This one actually I took in my Barrington studio. So, and
Wow.
this is just simple sleeping baby, so cute.
Oh my gosh, I know. Another like beautiful, beautiful picture. I love it. I love the headbands. And again, when they're sleeping, it's like, oh my gosh, how cute. And then you realize they
Yeah,
do wake up at some point and
yeah,
they do grow up and you have to feed them and you still have to, yeah,
yeah,
definitely. It's
yeah.
definitely
There's a lot of
a
training
whole thing.
involved with newborns. There's a lot of like safety and like just yeah, posing safety is huge. So there's a lot involved with newborn photography. So if you're gonna either one get into it personally for yourself, get ready. There's a lot of education. And if you're going to, invest in newborn photography, get ready because you're going to be in the studio for 3.5 hours sweating. So
Yes, exactly. Get used to like
yeah,
it's like sounds like it's like that yoga that they turn up the heat to and everything.
yeah,
It's like, yeah,
yeah.
you're yeah,
Bikram, I think.
get
Yeah.
some water bottles because you're going to need to hydrate after that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
have, exactly to that reason, I have like water and snacks here for my clients, and they'll have a place to sleep here. Like, usually the dads, like, they fall asleep, and they go off to the side and just kind of do their
Those
thing. So
dads. Yeah,
yeah, the dads.
yeah, it's like, oh, I'm so tired. The mom's looking at him like, you better get up and get over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I'm sure the dads or moms probably want to sneak back to your studio just to like try to sneak in a nap, especially with some
Yeah.
newborns. And
Yeah.
look
And
at
we're
these.
I'm all
Oh,
for
sorry.
that.
Yeah,
I was just saying I'm
definitely.
all for it. Yeah, they can sleep. I'm here.
Yeah,
I got it.
definitely. That's awesome. That is awesome, Anna. And look at these two beautiful boys.
Yeah, these are my two.
Yeah, I
So
was
funny,
gonna say.
funny thing about this is that I was in the middle of my workshop, right? And it's all about lighting, right? You got to find the light. And this was just, I was driving with them, and no joke, this is on like a random road in Seekonk. And if you can imagine it, on like right to the left, right off the left side of this picture is like, there's like a telephone pole. And like the other side, there's like it's like a
Oh
parking
my
lot. Like
God.
I was literally laying in a parking lot because the light here for me, I was like, I just need to get this. So I was like, get out of the car. And like, I was like, take your shoes off, because they had like clunky sneakers on. And so they were just like,
Yeah,
what are we doing? And there's cars zooming like behind. They're not close by, but they were in the
yeah.
road, between the
The kids
light
are like,
and
what
my
is it?
children.
What are you doing? You're like, I'm
Yeah.
capturing a picture, kids. It's like, if you
Yeah.
want to eat tonight, you're gonna take your shoes off and sit
these
down.
these are memories. Take
Yeah,
your shoes off. Yeah, they
yeah.
my kids, they just like roll with it. They're like, all right, like we're in the middle of this weird parking lot, but okay. But yeah, this
I
was like
know.
a
They're like, all
patch
right,
of grass.
yeah, just do it. It's like, just do it. She knows what she's doing. And is that
Yeah,
your oldest and your middle child?
that's my oldest and my youngest.
Oh, your oldest and your youngest. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't even believe. I always think your youngest should still be like a baby, and he's getting to be a
Yeah.
big boy.
Oh yeah.
How
Yep.
old
Oh,
is
he's
he, Anna?
good. He's gonna be 4.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. They're beautiful, beautiful
Thank
boys.
you.
I love that.
Thanks.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is
Oh,
another
this
one
is
that's just
fun.
gorgeous.
Yeah, this is fun. Another one, same idea with the light pattern. So I actually did this one as a model call. These two sisters, they were great. We had a great time in those
Wow.
leaves.
And what does
Hmm.
that mean, a model call?
It's just, whether I have a specific purpose that I'm trying to either practice for or something that I need to do, I put out a model call to say, hey, I need someone to just come let me take photos of them.
Oh,
Like,
okay, great.
yeah. So
That's
I
great.
have a model call out. Actually, I have a model call. I have a newborn one, and then I think I might need some family ones. So if you
Oh, that's
guys are
really nice.
interested, yeah, I have a list of models that I work off of, like people who are interested in modeling,
Okay.
for me.
Oh,
So if
that's
anybody's
great.
interested, you can email me. Totally
Oh,
free.
definitely. I'm sure I should know some people, that's for sure. And this is
Yeah.
beautiful. Are those leaves real or did you
Yeah.
supply those?
No, those are we're actually, this is at Goddard Park. So
Wow.
yeah, we're at Goddard Park, and yeah, those were just the leaves.
Those are like the best looking leaves I've ever seen. I mean, just the color and just I love how like you're down at a level where you're like seeing the leaves so up close. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
beautiful. That is beautiful.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This
And this one is she is adorable. I love the
Oh,
colors in
adorable.
it. I love
Yeah.
the colors. And
Well,
where
and
is this
she's
at?
this is actually a park in New Bedford, Massachusetts. So
Wow.
Buttonwood Park. Yeah.
Okay. This is
Buttonwood Park.
beautiful.
Yeah, she
And
we
how old is
just
this little one? She's adorable.
so she's 2 now.
Oh,
I've been photographing, yeah, this little girl. I've been photographing her since well, her mom was pregnant, so so even
oh.
before she was out. Yeah. So yeah,
She
she's
is
she's
beautiful. I
adorable. Yeah,
love the
she is.
colors. And again, it's almost like honestly, I was really thinking like, is this real, this bush and stuff? I mean, honestly, the colors are just beautiful. I think that's what draws me in. I mean, I love the poses. These kids are like adorable, but it's like I think the colors, it's to me, it's just like I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this would be considered a fine art portrait. This is really like what I shoot for right here.
Yeah.
So it has it has a more art feel than just a standard photograph, and it's really,
Exactly. It really does.
yeah.
I think that's what makes it like that's why it almost looks like I was like, is this real? Because again, like with um the texture, like you can almost like you can feel
Yeah.
the texture of it. And it's just
Yeah.
it's timeless. It's just it's timeless. And then
Yeah.
we have this one. This is a gorgeous picture as well. I love
Thank
this
you.
pose. This
Yeah,
is
this
like
was a
so nice.
recent newborn I had. So a recent newborn I
Oh,
had in there. Yeah.
oh my
They came in and the baby was sleeping. Everybody, I was like, just close your eyes, take it in for a second.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. They're like, yes, we are. We're actually going to fall asleep while we're here as well. But it
Oh,
looks,
they
I
were
mean,
like
that's
sweating. They were sweating. Remember I told you it's hot? They were like, oh, we're in long sleeves. But like and it's hard to kind of stand there and pose, you know. So they
no,
were sweating. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, they look amazing. Again,
oh, they look
another beautiful
amazing.
family with this little baby. And again, I mean, I think like again, you can see the feeling and just it just captures so much. I mean, it's gorgeous. And then last but not least, we have this another a beautiful picture. I love the colors again of
Yeah.
the lavender. Is it lavender?
Yeah, it's lavender.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, it's
This was a lavender farm over in it's in South County. So yeah, I was so happy to be able to shoot here, and this family was great. Like I use this family's photos for like everything.
yeah.
I have a lot of like just sample images that I use for it because they were great. The kids
Oh
were
my
great.
gosh. I mean,
They're gorgeous.
again, it's beautiful and yeah, I mean, it's just it's really, really, really nice. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely I can't even I can't imagine. And I'm sure it's actually probably pushed you to like finding different areas or having an appreciation for different spots like you're saying. Like it could be on the side of the road and it's something that pulls you in that like again, it's spots that we must go by all the time that we wouldn't even think of that
Yeah,
sometimes have like
totally.
can work as some of the best locations in terms of shooting and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Photographers do this thing where it's like what I see versus what you see, because sometimes like you'd be shocked at some of the stuff that people create like in like like an abandoned parking lot, and you're like, wow. So it's like
Yeah,
there is a creative eye that's kind of necessary for shooting,
exactly. And especially
particular
like
things.
you're saying, like even with your sons, it's like just looking at this part of it and not necessarily seeing like there's a pole over here and then there's this and then there's a parking lot. Like it's even just like getting sometimes I'm sure that like that just that piece of it and it
Yeah.
makes it look like a whole other world than basically maybe where you were even at the time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Oh my gosh, you are so, so, so talented. I am so proud of you
Oh,
and
thank
everything
you
that
so
you've
much.
accomplished and what you're accomplishing. And definitely, I just can't wait to see what's yet to come. And I certainly will be visiting you in Barrington and I will bring you food or whatever else you want. And definitely, I would love to have a session. I'd actually love to have Colby have a session too, because, again, now that he's not in school, it's like I haven't had any real like pictures of him and that kind of
Yeah.
thing, ever since he probably graduated. So, and
Yeah.
Colby is super shy, unlike his mom. He's very shy. I'd really have to pull him on that one, but at the same time, it would be great to have. And but definitely, you'll see me. If you don't see him, you will see me, and I can't wait
Yeah.
to follow up with you there. Anna, thank you so so much.
Thank you.
Definitely want to give you another shout out in terms of Anna K Photography. Definitely, and basically, how do people book with you? By the way, like, is website the best, and then and then you call and probably do like some kind of like touch base as far as what people are looking for.
Yeah, so for inquiries, if you're just kind of curious about what I can do for you, if we're a good fit, it's good to have that conversation ahead of time. So
Yes.
I don't really do booking online unless it's for like a predetermined set, like a mini session or a theme thing. But for the most part, if you were looking to have a family session done, the best way to book or child session would be to submit the your information on the contact form on my website, and
Okay.
I would reach out to you. So I would reach out to you by phone, and then we'd really start the process. Once you decide that you want to move forward, we'd start the process with like kind of a design appointment. And
Okay.
most of that is done in person.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
yeah,
so, so much for being on here. And cheers to women like you. And
yeah.
like we always say,
Listen, women like
empower.
you. women like you. I am impressed with how great this has gone. Thank you. Like this can
Oh,
kind of be an awkward thing for a lot of people, but you make it seamless. So this
oh,
was
thank you so
thank
much,
you
Anna.
so much.
Yeah, no, definitely. I always say it's like a conversation, and again, with an old friend because we are old friends, and definitely, even though we haven't talked in a while, it's definitely been a pleasure. And again, I'm like so proud of you and everything that you're accomplishing, and I know the sky's the limit.
Same,
So I am
same. Thank you.
so happy, and I will certainly be spreading the word, and definitely. For for our viewers, please stay tuned, and obviously you know how to reach Anna K Photography. And like we said, the website and everything is as follows and www.annakphoto.com. And again, you can find this episode and many more on the Meetup with MeLa YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Anna, for coming on. And I'm sure we'll be following up with you in the future and seeing what you're up to
Yeah.
next. So thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank
everything.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Take
having
care.
me.
Oh,
Bye.
no. Thank you. Bye bye.